77 WABC invites you to a family fun day and softball showdown on July 20th with net proceeds benefiting Shriners Children's. John Sterling will call the game as the FDNY takes on the NYPD with special guests Dwight Gooden, Art Shamsky, 77 WABC hosts including Sid Rosenberg, Anthony Cumia, Lionel, Dominic Carter, and many more. For more info and to buy tickets, go to ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. That's ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. The best thing about Music Radio 77 WABC is you. You listen to Vinny Modugno every Saturday at 5 p.m., followed by Cousin Brucey's Saturday Night Rock and Roll Party. Then at 10, it's Saturday Nights with Tony Orlando. And on Sunday, it's Bulova Sundays with Sinatra with your host, Joe Piscopo.
You are the best thing. WABC.
This is Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormack. Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormack.
And right here on 77 WABC, it's Another Side of Midnight, which indeed it is. And quiet. The city's quiet, as it should be. This is one of those times. Tell you what. You ever want to just take a ride in? Just to make the time. It's just a delicious, wonderful feeling to zip into Manhattan and then zip right out. So even if you got nothing to do, take a ride in. See what it's like to get into New York City quick and then get out. Or not. Stay in bed. I don't know. Or whatever you're doing. And you know what? We don't get many of those calls. I would love to get at 1-800-848-9222. I would love to get a call or two every now and then, even though it's kind of formula, kind of talk radio formula. I would love to hear like what you're doing. You know what I mean? I mean, even if it's just like a 20-second phone call. Yeah, I'm on the turnpike and we're coming back from, or, hey, just went to a gender reveal and somebody got paint all over it. Yeah, something like that. Whatever, So if you're so inclined, just had a great meal, went for steaks, had the lobster, whatever. Are you on the shore? Are you? This would be a weekend that I would just absolutely not go to the shore. Talk about formulaic. I am not going to the Jersey Shore or Eastern Long Island unless I owned a place. And because I don't, if I owned a place, well, yeah, I guess I would. That's got to be nice. That's got to be nice. It's one of the that's one of the many, many unchecked boxes in this fella's mostly lived life is we don't own a getaway spot. Almost right before COVID. Talk about timing. Right before COVID, my wife and I almost picked up like a cheapy little condo somewhere in Florida, like on the East Coast, like Boca, like near there. Didn't pull the trigger. Should have. 2020 hindsight. Yep. But yeah, so, if you're so inclined to give a call just about like, what exactly you're doing at 2:08 in the morning, I think it is kind of fascinating to know what all is going on out there in people's lives. And speaking about other people's lives, in the context of this weekend, of these last couple days, this awful story out in Texas, awful story. What people are living through in the Texas Hill Country, these floods, this thing is just massive. I mean, it's one in a million tragedies that you read about, natural disasters, and whether it's, tens of thousands of families losing their homes in Los Angeles a couple of months ago. Just a couple of months ago, we were all riveted and watching as people just lost everything, like in a devastating sort of way. You know, and year after year, there's the hurricanes, there's the tornadoes, there's the, you know, and they come and they go, right? And you pay attention and you kind of angst and you watch and you hope, you know, and, you know, every once in a while there'll be something like this in particular has my attention, most definitely because, as anybody listening last night at that moment might have heard, I have two daughters. One of them called up last night, to say hi. And yeah, of course, when something's personal, when something rings a bell, when something, when the narrative of a story is all about dozens and dozens of young teen and preteen girls at a camp who got washed away. When it's so I'm going to relate to it, right? I'm going to relate. So I'm just wondering, you know, we all say, thoughts and prayers. Oh, I'm going to say, prayers up. Hey, I'm praying. And I'm not looking to get all down and maudlin here. We have a great show. There's going to be a very good show, as always. We're going to make sure we stay entertaining, good, engaging, right? At least keep you peaked. You know what I mean? And just so you know, a little bit later in this hour, we have a great conversation with Rob Taub, who's a really interesting guy. I refer to him always as a quintessential New Yorker. He's a Newsmax columnist and contributor, and I know him from days we used to appear on Fox News together. And Rob's a great writer, and he writes about and this is what makes him such a New Yorker. Is when he writes pieces or covers, he used to have a radio show about Broadway that he did from the Russian Tea Room. Okay. How New York is this guy, right? And he was a comedian, a comedy writer, a producer, a director. He's really done just about everything. That classic New York type of guy, and lifelong New Yorker. And so we're going to talk to him about New York and a little bit about Mamdani and this other stuff going on. So he has a really unique perspective on things and a great piece currently at Newsmax.com. So going to talk to Rob Taub. And then in the next hour, we've got John Tantillo. He's known as the marketing doctor. He's a professor at Thoreau College, the author of some great books, most notably People Buy Brands, Not Companies. And he's a Queens guy. He's got such a fascinating look at America. And yes, he's the marketing doctor. But when you talk about marketing, okay, and branding, it's not a business conversation. It's a people conversation. And John is a psychiatrist, and he's been in politics. He worked in the Ed Koch administration. And John also studied to be a religious at one point in his life. So you talk about a kaleidoscope of perspectives in one guy. So John Tantillo is going to be here in the next hour. And then at 4:00, we're going to hear from Fred Rubino, our favorite funny guy from Brooklyn. So Fred Rubino is going to call in with some fun looks at different things in the news. And but again, just to sort of, how do you do this? How do you handle? And can you tell me a story about something a moment in your life where you just had this trauma? You just had a tragedy. How did you get past it? How did you overcome it? You know? And perhaps even more nuanced is, how do you help a friend or a loved one handle their own trauma? Especially, and you'll always hear this narrative with me. This is a theme with me, especially guys, right? What do we talk about? Last night we had an amazing show. We talked about the addiction and recovery conversation. we've talked about how men just don't particularly take very good care of themselves. They don't go to the doctor enough. They don't live out loud enough, guys. So I'm just wondering, how do you do that? Or give me an example. Tell the family an example here about how you have helped someone, because it takes nerve, right? You can internalize, you can project somebody else's trauma or tragedy or sadness or misfortune. You can project it on yourself. I'm very capable of doing that. But it's like you want to help. They're not asking you for help, but they need something. Is it a tray of lasagna? And I'm not being funny. I mean, is it that you bring a meal over? I know in our circle, Andrea and myself, my wife, I know in our circle recently it's been, diagnoses. It's been people getting sick. People we know, family, friends. And, my wife, owns, dance schools. My wife is a dancer and she owns dance academies and, in Westchester. And we've had families and our families, they're kids, right? So the moms are young. We've had like a rash of moms not well, getting scary diagnoses. And we've had moms pass away. We've had dads die, I mean, it happens, of course, right? It's a school. It's a community. But, there's always that initial hesitation or you don't want to be intrusive. So tell me, tell us a story. Tell us an example of how you overcame your own immediate, hurdle, trauma, tragedy, sadness, or what was a profound moment helping someone else? How did you get there? How did you handle it? How did they receive your goodwill? And do you really think praying makes a difference for someone else somewhere else? 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-WABC. And of course, this story that we're talking about is this awful situation in a camp, a Christian camp in Texas, where dozens and dozens and dozens of young girls were at a girls' camp. I believe it might have been a Christian camp, and they were swept away. Swept away. Families of two missing girls from Camp Mystic in Texas have, let me see, what's the latest here? I'm just sort of looking at Twitter. 32 lives lost, including 14 kids thus far. That's 3 minutes ago is the latest number. So sad. Rich in New Jersey, line 1. Good morning, Rich. And look, gang, this isn't going to be a funeral dirge, this show. I'm determined to turn the corner and pull the nose up and get this jet out of the sadness, but I don't want to ignore it. Rich?
I know. It's what I'm going to talk about is like, it's kind of the opposite, but,
okay.
What I'm doing right now is the reason why I got to know you was because I have a prostate problem and have to get up every night to use the bathroom. That's how I got to know you. I had the radio.
That's awesome.
So now I had the surgery. I have a catheter on right now. This is going on for 3 days.
Wait. You have a catheter on or in?
In.
Oofa. Okay, go on, Rich.
It's coming out on Wednesday. I don't know how I'm going to live till then.
Every dude right now is shifting in our seats, Richie.
It is a pain, that urge that doesn't go away. But anyway, I have part 3 to my celebrity meeting.
Oh, all right.
Okay, first was Gay Talese, Neil Diamond's father, and this is the part 3.
Okay.
So, this is back in the 80s, going to the clubs. There was a club in Teaneck Saints Cafe by the hospital up there. So I'm on Route 80. I come around. I see the Glen Point Marriott. It's a big, tall hotel. So I go in there, and I sit into the bar. There's very few people. I see OJ in the corner booth with a brunette, and over in there, Holyfield by themselves.
Okay.
So I go up to him. Hey, Juice, how you doing? Like I know the guy.
They were
What's
Jewish?
up?
Oh, Juice.
Juice. I say, hey, Juice. OJ. And he says,
Hey, Jews. Yes.
He goes to me, what are you up to? He goes, I'm going to the Superstars competition down in Jamaica to meet my wife.
Wow.
I said, okay. So then a guy comes over next to me, businessman, he interrupts, and he has his napkin to get his autograph. So OJ signed his autograph. So with that, I said, OJ, if you want to go up to this cafe up here, maybe a line, but you tell me no me, they'll let you in. He laughs. So then they get up and walk away, and with the girl in between. And I wasn't invited to the party, so I went on my way after that.
Uh-huh.
So that's my OJ story. But anyway.
Hey, I like that. Well, wait, did you talk to Holyfield?
No, he didn't say much.
No.
They were dressed in like a tuxedo. I think it was in a charity event or something.
I bet you they were at a charity event, maybe something at the Meadowlands or something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Rich, so you've got this catheter thing. So you're up and down going to the John throughout the night because of the prostate thing.
Well, I have to empty the bag now.
Okay.
Before I had to get up to do whatever.
Okay, but it's coming out. But wait, just so I can sleep later in the morning. It's would you say later this week you're getting it out?
Wednesday.
All right.
I don't know if I'm going to make it.
You'll make it. Oh yeah, no.
I mean, with all the things going on, I'm not feeling sorry for myself. I just say like, wow.
No, of course. No, I can imagine. Jeez, how old are you?
I'm 70.
You're 70. All right.
People say I don't look it, but that's what they say.
You don't sound it either. Okay. All right, buddy. Well, listen, hang in there, and I look forward to talking to you next week without the catheter.
I consider you a friend because you let me tell my stupid story.
No, these are great stories. This is good stuff. It's what we do at 2:21 in the morning when we're standing there with a catheter and thinking about getting it out this week. So call us next week in the post-catheter era, okay?
Okay.
All right, dude. Have a good rest of the day. All right, Pally. Good morning. And Frankie, good morning, Frankie.
Yeah, good morning, TJ. I'm up the same reason why Rich was up, but that's a different story I called for.
Okay.
I called about the poor children who drowned in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it's like to lose a child.
Ooh.
My wife and I, we lost our 15-year-old son in 2017. He accidentally died of one of those online challenges.
No, really?
Yeah. He's an all-American kid. He did something really stupid. He was a smart kid. I mean, it's just a horror story all around.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what those parents in Texas are going through. Okay. Bottom line is there's a group out there. There's 600 chapters throughout the United States called the Compassionate Friends.
Mm-hmm.
And we belong to that group. They helped us. It's a group that everybody there lost a child, no matter what it may be. I mean, our son died of this thing called the choking game, but most children, young adults are dying now of suicide and ODs and stuff like that.
Yep.
But
these challenges come up. The social media comes up. What? Go ahead. I'm sorry, but go ahead. So.
Yeah, it's part of your faith. I mean, I don't want to push God's will on anybody, but things happen, and things maybe happen for reasons. It's not at all easy.
No.
To cope with, especially when you had such a great kid. It was an accident. He was influenced by one of his classmates, and it's all fun and games till somebody gets hurt or dies.
Well, Frankie, did you? Well, that was in 2018.
2017.
17. Okay, so it was 8 years ago. And okay, so was this your only child? Do you have other children? Not that it makes a difference. I'm just curious about the context.
No, he's our only son.
Your only son.
As a matter of fact, we adopted him right out of the oven. So,
wow.
It was a really traumatic, when these things happen. I was thinking about it today when we found him, I was getting honored by, for doing 25 years of, volunteer work, and
did you say you found your son unconscious?
Yeah.
Is it one of those things where you
strangle yourself? You strangle yourself, and it didn't work out. It's messed up.
What's it been like for you and your wife? If you don't mind my asking, because you hear stories about you obviously did, you went for help, you belonged to Compassionate Friends, and I guess, what is it, compassionatefriends.org? Is that, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can look them up.
Okay.
We belong to a chapter in, there's many of them in the city of New York. You talk about, horror stories. Look, you're numb. You're totally blasted away when something like this happens.
You had to be, one foot in front of the other. I think that's what gets me, is I just wonder, how do you literally put one foot in front of the other? I'm supposed to live my life one day at a time as a sober drunk. And I imagine there's some kind of a version of that when it comes to grieving like this in such a profound situation, like an accidental death like that. But is there, so for your wife and yourself, forget good days, bad days, did the two of you, your relationship, did it hold you guys up? Yeah, a
lot of people, we know that there's couples that,
they break up,
split up, break up and stuff when things like this happen, because, with my wife and I, we would just turn, 40 years of marriage. So, it's not easy. There's no fighting. We're like two, what do they say, two lost fish in the fishbowl,
Yeah.
We exist. We work at things together.
Mm-hmm.
What can I tell you? The whole thing just, what I do to, everybody does certain different things on how to cope. I had my first car, which is a 76 Firebird Formula. Okay.
Right.
And that was going to be my son's car. We were in the process of restoring it. He was working on it and stuff like that. So what I do is I take this car to car shows. It's done already.
Mm-hmm.
And I started a little foundation, and what I do is I have these flyers. So kids are with their families at car shows. So I let the kids sit in the car and stuff like that, and then I pass the parents a flyer.
Nice.
Listen, this. I gotta wash my mouth.
Yeah, this is a labor of love. This thing, yeah. Uh-huh.
This exists.
Yes, this is real.
If it could happen to me, it could happen to you.
Right.
Okay, you don't want to live my nightmare.
Right.
Of losing a kid. Yeah. And that's what I do. So, if I enlighten people to watch their children, and again, my son, he didn't learn it online.
Right.
But one of his schoolmates did.
How is that guy doing? The one who influenced.
I really don't care. Okay. What do you want? What am I going to do? What am I going to do?
No, I don't know. No, I'm just wondering. I don't know if for all I know, that kid could have,
It's a coping method. Listen, I don't think there's ways. He was a troubled child anyway.
Mm-hmm. How about did your faith play any part in your maintaining in your recovery? Because, you mentioned God's will. It's one thing to be in a state of grace and say, well, take life as it comes. But it's another thing entirely to say, God, this happened and somehow I trust you.
Well, I'll never forget, I guess, see, one thing, and again, I don't want to get religious on you, and I'm a Catholic.
Me too.
And I was always involved with the church. Mm-hmm. And I used to sing, and there was a song called God So Loved the World.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And that he gave up his only begotten son.
Yep.
Bottom line is, I always thought of that.
Yeah.
And thinking, like, how could, that's heavy.
Yeah.
Even like, to give up your son for the world. I was asked, did you curse God? I says, no, I didn't. I just, it's just so sad. It's just so sad.
It is, man.
Anyway, I wanted to share that story. Listen, that's no big deal. I then wound up, in 2023, I wound up, getting bladder cancer because of working down on 9/11, cutting up steel. So I had my bladder removed, and I know all about the catheters. Listen, Rick, when they're going to say, they always say it doesn't hurt. They're so full of it.
They're full of it. Yeah, that's just, that's.
If I have to catheterize myself, I used to have to catheterize myself like 8 times a day.
Oh my God, I don't like taking out my contacts.
It's an experience.
Oh, I can imagine.
It's an experience.
Oh, all right, Frankie, listen, let's stay close. The best to you and your wife. God bless. Okay.
Take care, man.
All right,
Bye-bye.
buddy. Oh boy, gang, huh? 1-800-848-9222. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to talk to Rob Taub here on Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick on 77 WABC. Hang in there.
All night long, this is Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormack. 77 WABC. It's Another Side of Midnight.
Political humorist TJ McCormick.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormack.
Interesting, heavy conversation there. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. CompassionateFriends.org. That's an interesting one. I'll have to definitely take a look at that. So, as we said, we're gonna kind of, keep things, moving. But look, at any point during the show, you want to talk about that sort of thing, we've got our eyes and, as I mentioned, right, we got our prayers aimed towards Texas and those families. There's a story here about a Texas dad who, died after almost cutting his own arm clean off, trying to save his family. And he said, I'm not going to make it. Texas dad of 2 died while trying to save his family in the flooding. When he punched through a window as their home filled with water. Goodness gracious. And let's see, Julian Ryan, his mother, his fiance, and the couple, they were all huddled in the bedroom. Wow, this guy was a hero. I just can't even. So we're wondering, how do you respond to tragedy? How do you maintain and how do you offer that kind of help to a friend or a loved one who's in the middle of it like that? Yeah. Meanwhile, we made some time to talk to Rob Taub because New York keeps on turning and we've got some crazy stuff going on. And again, no better person to talk to than this guy. And joined now by my good buddy and old friend and a Newsmax contributor, Rob Taub, funny dude, opinionated dude, a quintessential New Yorker. And welcome to Another Side of Midnight here on 77 WABC, Rob.
Hey, CJ, it's great to be here. Thank you for calling me dude rather than grandpa, which makes me feel very, very young. with it.
Very with it, very relevant. Yes, indeed. Well, you are definitely with it because, this latest, opinion piece that you wrote for Newsmax, really strikes a chord and it speaks to where so many people are living right now. And again, it's something for people, who have been listening to Another Side of Midnight with me. This is your first, time with me and, first time we've been on the air together for some time. So I just want to let my listeners know that, an interesting thing about you is that you were a lifelong Democrat and, I think you're one of those people that, would you say that the party left you?
Party absolutely left me, and I just found myself saying, who exists in the Democratic Party that I'm comfortable supporting? And I realized no one.
To put it simply, there's no one. And so in your piece, in this latest piece, you state that the Democratic Party has shifted from proposing actual policies. Okay. So there was a time when they might have been misled. They might have been, poor ideas, but they were actual policies. Now you say they're making outrageous proclamations and promises. Elaborate. What do you mean on that?
Well, they use the word free to describe everything, which is a real annoyance for me. Free healthcare, free education, free housing, free childcare, free mass transit, free and minimum wage hikes. That's not free, but they're just going to tell people how to run their business. First of all, it's not free. It's paid for by the taxpayers, and it's paid for by the people that the Democrats have, for some reason unbeknownst to me, have decided to demonize. Wealthy, successful people. So you're evil if you're rich, and we hate you, but we want you to pay for everything. Yeah. So I find a tremendous irony there. I mean, really look at the absurdity of that. You're a piece of scum. You're despicable. We hate you. We don't want you here. We don't think you should exist. By the way, we need you to pay for all of this.
Exactly. And believe me, we know best. We're on the side of the angels. And really, this is all for your benefit. This is all for you. You're welcome. You know?
And I'll give you an example, too. Bill de Blasio, who, this is on the voters, too. We elected him. I didn't, twice.
Right.
And he would say things like, kick rocks, billionaires. Yeah. He announced that he was not going to have street sweepers in Manhattan. He was not going to fix the potholes or pave the streets in the nice, expensive neighborhoods on the Upper East Side in Manhattan, which is really where all the tax base is. I mentioned in my piece that, let me look at it, 1% of the taxpayers contributed 48% of the city's
personal, right, exactly. Personal income liability is picked up by 1%. Yeah.
And that's a huge factor that I think the Republicans have good policies, but they're not responding effectively enough to. There's the whole irony too is Trump. Yes, does he exaggerate? Is he hyperbolic? Absolutely. Right. Does he lie about things? Maybe, but I find Elizabeth Warren and Gavin Newsom to be far bigger liars. They're taking away your health care. You won't have Social Security anymore. I challenge this all the time. I had a Democratic friend who called me and goes, boy, I'm in so much trouble. I'm about to get Social Security, but they're taking it away. What do you mean they're taking it away? I actually have a direct line and phone number for this guy who helped me with my Social Security when I got on it a few years ago. And it's very simple. You can do it online. They give you a person who is your account executive, whatever you want to call it, and I find them very helpful, attentive, and easy to get through. Trump hasn't gone in there with a sledgehammer or a cudgel and taken any of this away. And, right. But this is the myth that the Democrats want to perpetuate right now.
Yeah. We're talking to Rob Taub, Newsmax contributor here on Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick on 77 WABC, 1-800-848-9222. And, Rob, the thing is too, is that, you just said de Blasio paved the way for this. And we now find ourselves, okay, so de Blasio's, I'm not going to take care of the nice parts of town. And now, again, it's like the drip, it's like whatever, which other one, the frog in the boiling water, slowly. Now, so it goes from, I'm not going to fix the potholes in a nice part of town to a singularly, clearly racist platform, plank of I'm going to tax white people more. I mean, that's where Mamdani is now able to live because guys like de Blasio built the house.
Yes, I agree with that. And I also think was just ruminating over all of this before we started our conversation. I blame a lot of it on our youth in terms of their relationship with social media, because the social media stars like Mamdani and is it Mamdani?
Yes, Mamdani.
Use it really effectively.
Yes,
and we have a culture, a Gen Z, who basically exist on social media. They don't know history. They haven't read biographies. They know nothing of our past. And this is their connection. And I grew up in and around politics. My father worked in the Johnson White House. My son worked in the Obama White House. But my family was very involved in local politics when I was a kid. And my mother's parents lived in a little town in New Jersey called Perth Amboy. And their congressman was Ed Patton. And he used to do something called walking the ward. He walked around the neighborhoods all the time, would knock on your door and go, hi, how are you? He'd ask you, when's your bar mitzvah? When's your confirmation? What are your house school? And he was very engaged. And that was something we lost politically. And we're getting back through social media. And maybe our youth feels that they're connected to their politicians and there's some type of symbiotic relationship, but there isn't. And I just think it across the board a disaster in every way. I'm not blaming one thing. I think it's incumbent upon our youth they have more knowledge at their fingertips than imaginable. If you and I, when in our youth, we'd have to go to the library to find something.
Right, we'd have to pull out the microfilm.
Hope our parents got Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yes.
You had to microfilm. You had to crank the thing to go through it.
Yeah.
Now you just ask Siri.
Rob Taub, what was the name of that the guy who walked the ward? What was his name?
Congressman Edward Patton.
Edward
He had started as a school teacher. Yes.
Classic. You see, and now here's the thing. Edward Patton would walk the ward. He would engage with people of all parties, of all religions, of all backgrounds, everything, right? And he would engage with them, and then he would go and engage with his colleagues and create policy, and they would create legislation, and they would debate it, and they'd have arguments, and then they'd go have some steaks, and then they'd come back, and again, the old days. Now, and you make this argument that condemning and punishing people who achieve financial success, you say that it's not legitimate economic policy, but it's rather an act of divisiveness. It's about dividing people. And I think that's also the Mamdanis and the AOCs. And yes, certainly there are Republicans, of course, who deal in this brand of politics or in this method of politics. It's just the whole dividing thing. Is it here to stay long term, or do you think that ultimately it might hit a critical mass once a place like New York City? And by the way, real quick, I almost think that I started to say this last week on the show. I almost think letting New York City go to hell might actually ultimately be the critical mass we're thinking about here. But what do you think? Do you think it might get back to the Patton days, or are we doomed to just be literally throwing red meat at each other on a regular basis?
It's a really good question, but one not easily answerable because a lot of our politicians are, what's the terminology now, aging out.
Full of it? Oh, okay.
Andrew Cuomo is older.
Yeah.
Even Eric Adams is. Mm-hmm. And so how do you use social media effectively? But I do think, and I also mentioned in my Newsmax piece, which you can find at newsmax.com.
Yes.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Rob M. Taub or X. But it's the demonization of a social class. You know, don't aspire to be successful. Blame it on these wealthy people, Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, the Walton family who owns Walmart, which ironically, all these young people use their iPhones to go to a sporting event that in an arena owned by a billionaire to take pictures of billionaires that are playing a sport and, you know, reveling in this and getting their products sent to them by Amazon. And then they want to say that these people should be erased. And who is a politician to decide that we shouldn't have billionaires anymore? What's the cutoff point? You're going to have Jeff Bezos go, geez, you know, honey, we're close to that billion. I better burn some money before I'm carted away and taken to the asylum.
You know,
idiocy.
And you know what? I tell you what, too. Just like, de Blasio normalized the notion of this sort of, you know, Sandinista approach to, you know, this communism, this Marxism here in New York City, and it paved the way for Mamdani. You just made a hell of a point. You know, I remember hearing, and this was back in the day when you and I were regularly on Fox News together.
Yes.
I remember Barack Obama saying one time, and it's just emblazoned in my memory, how he said, look, there comes a point when, you know, you've got enough money. I remember him saying that. And I remember thinking to myself and talking to guys like you, because that was when you were on the bubble. That was when your Democrat bubble burst, was right around that time.
Yeah.
And I remember saying, like, you know, I get it if that's his ideology, if that's the Chicago street corner, local politician, organizer as we knew him. But it's another thing to say it out loud as the president of the United States, the largest, greatest capitalist society the world has ever seen. For him to articulate, there comes a point when you got enough money. And now here's Mamdani saying, I don't think we need billionaires. These guys, you know, one begets the other.
Well, another irony is Obama bought a home in Martha's Vineyard for somewhere about $15 million, and his wife signed a $60 million book deal with a publisher. So why didn't she give that money to a charity or something like that? I'm sure that they're enjoying their lifestyle, flying private and traveling the world and living in a luxurious homes in Washington, New York, and Martha's Vineyard, and wherever else.
On the shores.
They haven't invited me over lately anywhere, so Rob, how are you? Hey, Barry, how have you been?
I tell you what, Rob,
another pickup basketball game.
And you know what? I'm gonna wrap up our conversation with this. This is this question. I'm gonna give a little preface here and kind of bring it full circle. Again, to talk about your bubble, and again, here we're talking to Rob Taub. You find him, Rob M. Taub, on Twitter, X, whatever, at Rob M. Taub, and you also find him at Newsmax.com. He's got a great piece there. He's a contributor to their opinion page. Rob, again, to go back to that time when you were on the bubble there, I remember when, and this will time frame it for everybody. This was back when it was, Obamacare was being debated, and they were all sitting around those round tables, and they were televising the debates, and and Obama with that big promise, you'll be able to keep your doctor if you want to keep your, and I remember you talking about in the aftermath of that, you're like, I've had the same endocrinologist for 8,000 years. And I remember that was it for you. It was personal. It was real. The rubber hit the road. I mean, and because your particular situation, endocrinologist. Now, for New York City, right? You and I always talk about larger, bigger picture national politics. And I referred to you at the top of this as a quintessential New Yorker. You really are. You're one of the few guys I know that lives and breathes and eats New York City the way you do. And you've been a cultural writer and observer in New York. You've written about theater. And this has got to be personal for you to see what could happen if this Mamdani, A, what's already happened to your city, but B, what really could be happening to your city. This has got to be personal for you.
It's horrifying. And I had a conversation with one of my friend's sons last week who told me he was voting for Mamdani. And I was upset. And I said to the kid, I was polite but harsh. I said, you're 28 years old you recently got your own apartment. You've never really managed a household, let alone a business. And you think that all this stuff's going to be free, and you hate rich people, so I guess you hate your parents. Where's the money going to come from? How is this going to be funded? And it's all these pat answers that they've heard from AOC and Bernie Sanders and Mamdani, which is there's plenty of money to go around. People aren't going to leave New York. Well, he's wrong. People have been leaving in droves, and a lot of it has to do also, we could do this in a whole other segment. De Blasio began auditing people relentlessly, trying to squeeze every nickel out of big taxpayers. And again, you want to embrace the wealthy people that help maintain your city. You don't want to condemn them.
Right.
And that's the new Democratic tact, and it's not going to work. They're using it to try to garner votes from these kids who think they're disenfranchised. And again, they all have fancy iPhones. They wear Bose headphones. They walk around in nice clothes, but they think that they're deserving of something because they've been coddled by their parents, and now they want to be coddled by the government.
Boom. Boom, boom, boom. That other segment is definitely gonna come. Let's get into the summer and, have you actually come in and sit with me here, at 77 WABC. We'll have you take a nap one day and come join me, in the studio, one morning. Everybody go check out Rob Taub's, latest piece at Newsmax.com. Check out this fantastic piece. And especially now knowing his background a little bit and understand from whence it comes, go also find him on Twitter, X at Rob M. Taub, M as in McCormick. That's me, TJ McCormick here on 77 WABC. It's another side of midnight. Yeah, right? And, so listen, Rob, thanks for joining, buddy. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And, we will definitely, talk soon. Next time in person, we'll have a hug and a kiss.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Thank you. All right. 77 WABC.
It's another side of midnight. 77 WABC. It's another side of midnight.
Political humorist TJ McCormick.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormick.
Good morning, all. Hello there, TJ McCormick. It's another side of midnight with me, TJ McCormick on 77 WABC. And, my thanks again to my old buddy, Rob Taub. And, it's funny talking about New York City falling apart, man. Do you see that? Again, sometimes it's, as Casey Kasem said, it's ponderous, man, ponderous. So New York City, I don't know if you saw it in the Post, and I think a couple of other places covered it, but they've installed 5 new public toilet pods. And I think they're very kind of European-ish. It's like a European public toilet thing. It's like a freestanding little unit. It's like European toilet pod meets like, it looks like what does it even look like? Looks like a tiny airport. I don't know. It looks like a tiny airport in the Bahamas. It's got like these like vents on it. It's like all sort of like Venetian blind kind of slats, all at angles, obviously, so you can't see in clearly.
It's another side of midnight. 77 WABC. This is another side of midnight with TJ McCormack. Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormack.
It's another side of midnight with me, TJ McCormack, and we are here gathering around on 77 WABC. Indeed, the largest, grandest, most fantastic talk radio station in the land. And what a cool thing to be a part of it here with you. And I really am very grateful. And it's been a real interesting couple of mornings here. And again, good morning to you on this Sunday, July 6th already. It seems like just 2 days ago was the 4th. It was. So yesterday morning was really, really interesting. We We talked about everything from the big beautiful bill, which became the big beautiful law. We talked about New York and all the insanity here. We also touched on recovery and addiction and all of that stuff. We had fascinating callers to bring the show home yesterday morning. It was really, really something else. To the most active recovery hour that we've ever had since we started that endeavor. And I thank you guys for that honesty. And then last hour, a whole lot of honesty there. A lot of people dealing with a lot of stuff. And by the way, that number, it's now there's, I don't know what portion of the people who have died in Texas are children. I know the last number was 15 children. And now we're hearing at least 51. It's a lot of people to pass away in flooding, you know? 51. My goodness gracious. But that's America. And we're rallying, you know, it's here in America. And we're rallying around. The White House right away says they'll send federal help. Of course, you know, today was an all hands directive from the governor, basically saying, you know, that he wanted all the first responders. Abbott said he wanted all the first responders, all the investigators, all the crews to act as if they were searching for live people, because time was of the essence. He wanted them to consider every victim living, and that the clock was ticking, you know, and so that's how they're going about it. And, you know, so all eyes and all prayers are on Texas. And, that's, you know, tomorrow in churches, and today, yesterday, in synagogues, and, this morning in churches all around America, people are going to be praying for Texas. You know, that's what we do. And there's going to be GoFundMe's, and there's going to be, law enforcement mutual aid coming from all surrounding towns and states and counties and stuff like that. And that's what we do. And so I want to bring in my buddy now. I want to bring in, John Tantillo. John is, and you'll see the transition that I'm making here. John is a, professor at, Touro, University, correct, John?
Yeah. That is correct.
Touro University. And, John is a marketing guru. His most notable book is People Buy Brands, Not Companies. And, you know, John, this sounded like an odd transition to make to bring you in, but I said a couple times, you know, that's America. And call us what the rest of the world may want to, you know, some sort of, capitalist, look at me society. I like to think that we're a generous, compassionate bunch of people. And, I think that's a big part of our brand as Americans. And I'm looking at Texas, and I'm, you know, I think that, you know, we've saved the world. We've jumped in. I mean, we're trying to bring peace to the Middle East once and for all. We're trying to end the Ukraine war. I mean, I'd like to think that's part of our brand, right, John?
Oh, I couldn't say it better than you just said it, TJ, and I'm so glad to be here tonight to talk about not only the American brand, but also the New York City brand.
Yes.
And what we see going on with the city that I love.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you know, and I was impressing upon the gang here in the first hour when I was talking about you coming on in this second hour, is that, you know, when you talk about marketing, you're talking about, you know, it's not sales, it's not business, it's people. Marketing, and you know, and you're a trained psychologist. You know people. And that's where your marketing genius comes from. Your branding, awareness comes from your understanding of people. And so, I think that's why you have that mantle that you do, is because you more than the average, human being gets the human condition. And so, this American brand, this brand of New York City, let me ask you this. Okay, here you go. Here's a starting point, right? We've got this, America is the leader of the free world. We are that capitalist society. We are all about, hard work and rewarding hard work and lifting up people when they need it. And yet in places, somehow in New York City in particular, a guy like this Mamdani comes along who flashes a big smile, but is an anti-Semite. He harbors great ill will towards Jewish people and Israel. And he politically really is, for all intents and purposes, a proper communist. How is it that he thrives, granted, New York is New York, but still it's America. How has this guy gained a foothold?
Well, when you talk about brands, it's very, very important to understand that all brands have what we call a target market. And what does that mean? It means people who are going to be most attracted to the brand. And if we take a look at who voted for this genius, it was folks, especially white folks, between the ages of 24 and 30 years of age. So this crowd, as you know, as we were once young, tend to be a little bit more on the edge politically and a little bit more liberal. And today, saying it that you are a socialist, which is a politically correct way of saying that I'm a communist, is very, very attractive to young people. And with social media, add that on to the mix, you have somebody who, and by the way, say what you want, he is an attractive personality.
Yes.
He's young, he's vivacious, and I mean, he was talking about practical issues. I mean, who has an experience? I don't know if you ever lived in New York City, but getting affordable rent.
Right.
I mean, he just resonated because he talked the issues and he articulates the messaging very, very well. And, young people are looking for new ideas. And who was he up against? Well, he was up against the establishment, Andrew Cuomo and Adams. And it was a array of candidates that really had no brands, or that the brands that they did have were not really perceived very, very well by the sold very well. This is Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick, and we're talking to the marketing doctor. We're talking to John Tantillo. You can find him at John Tantillo all over social media and themarketingdoctor.com. And 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. That's the number. If you want to join, we'll open up the line so that you guys can chime in. You know, John, where I was jumping off there was not really well represented. Andrew Cuomo,
I'm one of the people that said it's his if he wants it. It's his if he wants it. I thought, and unfortunately he was listening to me. That guy was, and this came really after. Nobody was talking about how lackadaisical his campaign was. But I tell you what, in the days since the primary ended, he's been getting crucified, Andrew Cuomo, for being lazy and complacent and not showing up and sort of waltzing in as if he thought he had it. And I'm kind of sitting there saying, well, I kind of thought he had it. He just didn't work for it. And you knew his dad very, very well. I would imagine that, his dad would be rolling over right now thinking about how his son just performed.
Well, I have to say that Andrew was the brains behind Mario's campaign. Mm-hmm. And I think what happened here with Andrew is that it was the same thing that happened a few years ago to a fellow by the name of Crowley, who mm-hmm. was the district, the district leader or the county leader, basically, mm-hmm. of Queens, and the
one that lost to AOC, right?
That's right. Mm-hmm. And the reason, and by the way, this genius, I'm going to call him, or the communist, as I'm going to call him, only won by a very not a representative sample of the people who are registered Democrats in New York City. Mm. It was I think less than 10%. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but it wasn't a large majority, which is the same thing that Crowley did. He underestimated the competition. And in politics, what you always have to do is play like you're behind, mm-hmm. like you're losing.
Yes.
And I've seen it over and over again. If you are lazy, if you don't, and I'm not saying that he was lazy, Cuomo, I don't know how he ran the campaign, but what I will say is I'm not surprised that he underestimated, which is one of the basic tenets of running a campaign. You can't run as if you're winning.
No, you have to run as if you're running from behind, and you have to run through the tape at the end of the race. You can't slow down. 1-800-848-9222 is the number if you want to talk to myself and the fabulous marketing doctor, John Tantillo. And so, back to the bigger picture, America. Trump is doing the guy just absolutely cannot slow down. If he wanted to, he couldn't slow down. Things are just cooking with gas all over the place. I mean, he made that joke about, you're going to win so much, you're going to be tired of winning. This guy in the last few weeks has been, we'll take this past Thursday, for example. This past Thursday was a classic Trump day in the last 6 months, where in the morning, a jobs report was the first thing out of the gate, 147,000 new jobs added, outperformed by tens of thousands of jobs. And then, a little bit later, he was twisting arms and the Senate, or rather the House, finally, passed the big, beautiful bill. And then after that, while he was waiting for that thing to be formalized, he's on the phone at 10 a.m. with Vladimir Putin. And then a little bit later, so while he's on the phone with Putin, who's waiting in the waiting room outside the Oval Office, but a freed hostage from Israel who's a New Jersey resident. And then he ended that night in Iowa at the state fair, shaking hands and kissing babies and eating corn dogs with farmers. This guy wins and wins and wins and wins. And the rest of the world is just watching, half of them rooting against him and us. But he seems to be restoring a lot of confidence, put it this way. I'm a Trump guy for all these years, but I freely admit only this time around am I saying it out loud without any reservation. I'm not pulling any punches. I'm all in for Trump and what's happening in America. And anytime something wobbles, John Tantillo, I have faith that it's going to settle, like the tariffs thing. So what do you think that he's doing for the core strength of the American brand? Tell me what some of the core strengths are and how he's reinforcing them.
Well, he is the greatest marketing politician who has ever entered the White House. I mean, he gets what we call in marketing promotion. Mm. Everything he touches is promotion. Sometimes Trump supporters get a little bit uncomfortable, but he has a flair for knowing what the American working person likes. He is really one of our first blue-collar presidents. Mm. And, I mean, he really understands the working person, whether or not they be black, whether or not they be Latino, whether or not they're white. He brings people together because there's an authenticity. And what's important about branding, no matter what, you have to be authentic so that there's a connection. And people who are, I would say, what I call, if you read my writings and you look at my work, I call them Kias. Know-it-alls. Kias. They killed in action? No. Kia are know-it-alls.
Right.
And, the people that talk with clenched teeth,
yeah.
that they just know everything. Another word for this crowd are the elites.
Yeah.
So, and what Trump has been able to do is change the discussion and change the rules of engagement, which drives Washington and those kids or those elitists crazy. Mm. What? I mean, he's not doing it the way it's supposed to be done.
And it's funny. It seems like, well, first of all, it's funny when and we're again, Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick. We're talking to the marketing Dr. John Tantillo, his book, People Buy Brands, Not Companies, and his writings. He mentioned, he's a Newsmax contributor. You find him on Newsmax. He's a regular on that network. And, he forever and ever, John Tantillo, I gotta wonder, because I know you were in and throughout the entire campaign of 2024, you were so steadfast that he was going to win and win big. I mean, it was almost as if you knew something. What was it? It had to be. Was it the whole, for a branding man, for a marketing man, MAGA has to be right up there with, Coke and a smile. I know that's advertising, but I mean for the brand of Coca-Cola. Like, right. MAGA has got to be on the Mount Rushmore of marketing. I mean, it is. It certainly is, right?
Sure. No question about it. But one thing I would like to add.
Yes.
Not only did Trump win by his marketing, he did what I identified in a piece that I did for Newsmax, and the term I used was political intelligence, which was getting your vote out and having an army of lawyers to push back on the Democratic geniuses who were going to say or object to voting irregular procedures.
Which he didn't do which he didn't do in his first reelection in 20.
That's correct.
Right.
And you see, Trump is a different kind of businessman. He's an entrepreneur. He is not a corporate type that Romney was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, entrepreneurs, the thing that you learn by being an entrepreneur is you don't make the same mistake twice.
Uh-huh.
You learn from your mistakes. So what you see now is a new and improved Trump, as evidenced by his cabinet picks.
Mm-hmm.
Remember all the problems he had with the cabinet, getting them because they weren't insiders.
Well, and not only that, you can tell his entire demeanor, his entire just the temperate mode that he stays in. He doesn't go off on the tangents. I mean, look, he's always going to go off script, but he doesn't go off forever and ever, and he doesn't wander intellectually. He stays on message, and everything is competent and earnest. And, and the other thing too is he, especially when it comes to the war and peace side of things, when it comes to Ukraine and Israel, he does not like people dying. You know what I mean? Like, he's got an aversion, which is a wonderful thing in a world leader. But he really does not like that, because what's he say every single time? The subject of the war comes up. He says, we have to stop. Too many young people are dying. And he gives the numbers, and he talks last week, so-and-so thousands died. He goes, they got to stop. So it's an organic, genuine, so that tells me that he really does want people to prosper. He really does want, America to be great again. I think he really means it. And I think his comfort level with his own, perspective, with his ideology, I think has led him to just settle into his message and have confidence in it.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's very, very well said. And he has, just to add to what you've said, he has the common man touch. And that's because the business that he worked in, which is construction.
Yeah.
So he had to be able to relate to those guys.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to being, I don't know if our audience remembers Sergeant Shriver.
Oh, sure.
When he was running, that was John F. Kennedy's brother-in-law. Well, the story is that he goes to a working class bar, and he has all these. He's running for president of the United States. So he goes into the bar, and they said, well, what would you like there, Shriver? And he says, give me a glass of sherry. And, I mean, all the guys in the bar are drinking beer.
Sure.
And he wants a sherry. I mean, if that doesn't really screw everything up, Trump would never do that.
No, in fact, look what he did. He went to McDonald's. That McDonald's move.
McDonald's.
John, that was the move. That was the move. That was it. That was where I remember turning to Andrea. You know my wife. I turned to Andrea. I said, game over. He just won.
Right. And the idea that he drove the garbage truck.
Yep.
I mean, he really understands the working person.
And he takes, and his instincts are insane, because you just reminded me. He got into that garbage truck after people referred to his voters as garbage.
Yes.
Right. He didn't push back and say, my people aren't garbage. He got in the truck and said, this is what they think of you. This is what they think of you. And a big, beautiful, white, pristine garbage truck with the word Trump on it. Maroon.
don't forget the outfit that he wore.
Yep.
He wore the vest.
He wore the vest. He was magic.
I mean, it just was. I can't say enough about this guy. And when he first got in, when I was writing for the Washington Times, I said the guy's never going to win because he's making all these statements that are just not. I mean, he even criticized the Pope. If you remember,
right.
I mean, it was incredible. And then I began to see the change, and I began to see that this guy really has the common man's touch, which drives the kids, the know-it-alls, and the elites wild.
Knocks them off their game. It's 3:31. We're at the bottom of the hour. I got to take a quick break. Everybody, it's another side of midnight with me, TJ McCormick. We're talking to the one and only marketing doctor, our buddy John Tantillo. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-WABC is the phone number. John, stay right there. Gang, hang in there. Oh, we're going to talk to Fred when we come back. Everybody stay right there. It's Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick on 77 WABC.
It's Another Side of Midnight, 77 WABC. It's Another Side of Midnight.
Political humorist TJ McCormick.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormick.
The doctor of marketing, the marketing doctor, John Tantillo, is my guest. He's my buddy. He's my pal. He knows where all the best bakeries are all across the land. He knows they're all in Queens. And so John is here, with me on Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick here on 77 WABC. We're talking about all things America, all things Trump, all things New York. We're talking about the psychology of the people. And, so we're basically kind of looking at politics and life through the lens of marketing and branding, because everybody's got a brand, everybody's got a marketing angle. It's life. It's what you do in life. You walk into a room and, and it is what it is. And nobody knows that or the human condition better than John Tantillo. So, John, welcome back.
Well, I'm so happy to be here tonight with you and sharing our thoughts regarding all things political as well as all things human. Yeah. Because one feeds the other, And so now joining us on line 2 from Brooklyn is Frederick. Frederick, good morning. You're on with myself and John Tantillo on 77 WABC.
Yes, good morning, radio host. This is Frederick from Brooklyn.
Hello, Fred.
My concern, I'm curious to know concerning President Trump overall peace effort. What's going on with that mineral deal he was supposed to push forward or establish with the Ukraine president in his attempt to attain peace? What's going on with that mineral deal?
That's a good point, Frederick. I really haven't heard much about that actually in some time. Maybe because we're waiting for he and Zelensky to get back together around the table. John, it's interesting how there are so many balls in the air, so many plates spinning, like that guy on the Ed Sullivan Show. Trump is constantly spinning plates at such a high level. Here's Frederick talking about the rare earth deal, the mineral deal. I totally forgot about that. I've been looking at Israel and Iran and, maybe that's also part of the genius that is Trump. Keep enough plates spinning and it's always, and it means you're always working. And that's, if you keep working, keep your feet moving, you're going to keep winning.
Yeah. Well, I think, to build on what you've just said, I think timing is everything in life. And, I think the time, is not right to talk about minerals when Putin is in full drive. And I mean,
it's a great point.
He has his foot on the gas, and there's just nothing else to talk about. And I really think that there was a misstep by the Ukrainians with that meeting in the White House that they blame on Trump. But he was being egged on by the Europeans, who said you can get more from Trump, and that's what I believe happened, and why there's no talk of minerals. So that's a very, very astute perspective from our caller.
Yeah, Frederick, thank you so much for that note and for reminding me about the mineral deal. But yeah, John, you're right. Putin's going full blast. He's bombing every night. There are bombing raids over civilian areas. So it seems like, at least for the moment, the conversation about the deal is off the table. Let's see. Joaquin in Pennsylvania wants to talk about Trump and Cuomo. Good morning, Joaquin. Welcome to the show. Welcome back, and talk to John Tantillo.
Sure. Good morning, TJ. Good morning, John. The first thing is I'm actually surprised, TJ, as learned as you seem to be, that you would think that Cuomo could have even had a chance. I mean, his track record as being a COVID tyrant, and also a lot of his anti-policing policies.
Absolutely. No, I took all that into account. I just had so little. Look, the fact that he got any votes. I mean, the guy, everything from his sexual harassment to what he did to all the seniors that he caused to die. I mean, honestly, I never thought that when I said that it was his to lose, I didn't like it. I just, and if it wasn't for Mamdani, frankly, I mean, he would have wiped the floor with all the other, also-rans.
You know what? I'd rather take a contrite Adams, because the way he's been talking lately, at least he's admitting to a lot of his mistakes and whatever else, not maybe enough. But, he definitely sounds like he's on the right track.
Oh, John, what do you think about that, John? It's interesting. We've got a guy in Adams, the incumbent mayor, who is a bit of my wife would call him a Flash Harry. That's what somebody like him with his suits and his lapels and his, demeanor and his working out and all that. He's a braggadocious guy. And to Joaquin's point, he's definitely been quite contrite and a bit humbled by his, close call with so much, litigation. What do you think about him, sort of tempering down that brand of his and, trying to be more of, say, a man of the people? Maybe he's trying to be more like the cop, act more like the cop that he used to be.
I can't see, the ethnics, brown, black, and Hispanic, going for the communists. I just can't. I think the natural migration is to Adams, and I think that's what Adams' appeal is. I mean, Ed Koch used to say that in New York City politics, it's all about the ethnic vote. And the different constituencies within the New York City proper. So I would say for that, even though I did see a poll that the communist is beating Adams, that's with Cuomo still in. Whether or not Cuomo is out is another. Who knows what he's going to do? I will say that Cuomo. Don't underestimate Cuomo. He is a very astute political type, and there must be something in the polls that are keeping him in the race. And what I mean by polls, these are the campaign polls, not the polls that are out there just to form opinions.
Right.
if you see a poll, a public poll, there is a reason for that poll and the reason that it's published.
Yeah. And you can tell their Oppo research is working. I mean, it was a day or two after it's a few days after the primary, and bam, here comes the news about his application to Columbia. I'm sure Cuomo's wondering where the hell was that during the primary campaign.
Right. I mean, it's still fluid. There's still time. And remember that, Adams can pull this out if he gets what I call political intelligence. He really does get the votes out. And that's what's really very, very important to do.
And that's also, and thank you, Joaquin. That's what Mamdani has in spades. He's got literally hundreds and hundreds of boots on the ground. He's got a hell of a ground game. John, you worked in the Koch administration. There's some great photos of you, that I've seen over the years, in proximity of the mayor. You were involved in some really heady times here in New York City in politics, working for Ed Koch. And so that all of this talk, all of this stuff is fluff when it compares to, and erroneous when you compare it to the value of the retail door knocking, the threshold, the campaign that you run at the threshold of the house, the apartment, the church, the synagogue. It's 3:46. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will talk to David and Steve, who are going to have a couple of words with myself and my buddy John Tantillo here. It is Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick on 77 WABC.
It's Another Side of Midnight, 77 WABC. It's Another Side of Midnight.
Political humorist TJ McCormick.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormick.
77 WABC. Absolutely the gold standard. And it's so cool to be here with you guys. And joining us is the marketing Dr. John Tantillo, a Newsmax contributor, a professor at Touro University, and the author of People Buy Brands, Not Companies. And he's so right. And we are joined now. Welcome back, John. And we are joined by Steve in Manhattan. Good morning, Steve. Steve, get back to the phone.
Gentlemen. I thought I was batting second after the commercial. I went to the fridge.
You're good.
Gentlemen, TJ,
yes.
Awesome show, man.
Oh, wow, thank you.
And John, welcome aboard. I could pick apart any argument, but the thing is, what's happening in New York City politics, and nobody will bring it up, is the 65 Immigration Act. You got over 1 million Muslims. They're gonna vote for, I call him Bambi, moron. They're gonna vote for this guy because he's a Muslim. The people are afraid to say it. You think they're all college radicals? He got 400,000 votes in the primary. That's more votes than Curtis got in the general election last time.
It is
and
huge.
You combine that with that clown Ladner, 100,000 that'll go to Badambi. That's 500,000 votes in his back pocket already.
Oof.
Curtis could still win this thing. But I would tell people, with Cuomo looks like crime dog, doesn't he? But he's anti-crime dog. But nobody will tell you. I was bringing it up back in 2019. They were throwing me off the air about the no bail thing. I was telling them who was doing it. Cousins' staff and Hastings' staff is the speaker in the New York State Assembly.
Yeah, and Andrea Stewart Cousins is the majority leader in the Senate, yeah.
Cuomo never brought this up. They put it on his desk and they tell him, you signed this or you're going to get primaried. And then he did. That was after 8 years of him. Governor Murphy in New Jersey is a Xerox copy of Cuomo. He put the people in the nursing homes with the COVID virus that was sent here by the communist Chinese serial killers. Just like Putin. Putin is a serial killer. Don't try to talk politics with this guy. He's a serial killer. He doesn't care about body counts. He care about your 18-year-olds lying in a field dead on a battlefield. He doesn't care about Russians dying in a battlefield. This guy's a serial killer. And people forget in 2020, Trump basically abandoned the illegal immigration thing during the campaign. Mm-hmm. You remember what he brought up in September? So this guy he's giving the race away. He brought up the Platinum Plan, for business zones in African American neighborhoods. That was their own words. That was his staff putting that on his plate and him putting that out there. No, he could have been standing there like George Washington in 2020, and I said it during that year when the Chinese sent the virus over here. You ever notice people keep mentioning Pelosi's name and Fauci's name? Those people who keep doing that are useful idiots. Just like people keep saying, come here legally. You're a useful idiot. The people now who are siding with Adams, who I heard for years on this station, who were against Adams, now they're saying he's okay.
Yeah,
you are a useful idiot.
Desperate times, desperate measures, right? Thanks for calling as always, Steve. And let's get over to David. David in Pennsylvania, good morning. We're going to wrap up this hour with you. Say hi to John Tantillo, the marketing doctor.
Hi, John. Good show. TJ also. Family, hello.
Yes.
It's my brother's birthday today, Sunday, the 6th of July. He's 72, been through a lot, is a good sports writer in the Pittsburgh area for high school sports.
Oh, okay.
Now, I'm talking high school and below, below those levels of education or non-education. What about Trump with his love of people and not wanting to see them die? With the efforts of the mayors of major cities who's ever elected in New York, the communist or Cuomo or whoever gets elected, and Los Angeles and Chicago, why can't we do something about child human trafficking, which is psychological murder, which Trump disapproves of? It is psychological murder of children, child sexual and job employment.
Let me ask John about that. John, and thank you, David. Thanks for calling. John, maybe we can take that a little bit more writ large. It's interesting how some of those platform things, some of those planks in the platform, go to the wayside. I mean, everyone can agree that, the whole notion of human trafficking, let alone child, human trafficking of children, is sometimes I think people just get overwhelmed with the enormity of the issue. But in the last few years, it's really gained traction. It started off, I think, with some sort of conspiracy theories, about these wealthy, powerful people being provided children for whatever. But I don't know. It's kind of difficult to formulate the question, but, some things you wonder, why do some of the most obvious ills continue to flourish? I don't know. I don't quite even know what I'm asking, but I guess it is kind of amazing that human trafficking still happens in this day and age. I wonder why lawmakers are afraid to really just tackle it and get a grip on it.
Yeah, well, I think the border made this trafficking issue front news, or at least for us to have an intelligent discussion about it, as opposed to it being in as conspiracy theory and theories. So that's the way I kind of look at it. If there's any sort of benefit that the border crisis has done, is it made this human trafficking an important issue because of the border.
Yeah, no, you're right. It certainly brought, and you know what really got me was with that Abrego Garcia guy, the one who, went to El Salvador, and now he's back for his day in court. there was a fascinating body cam image, video of one of the traffic stops that was made by some cops, I think in Missouri. They had him on body cam with literally an SUV full of people that he claimed to be his family. None of them had ID. There was a woman in the front seat who was just like, didn't know what to do. And the cop, there was two cops at the traffic stop. And one cop says to the other cop, he says, you understand what's going on here, right? He goes, he's trafficking these people. He goes, he's traveling right through Missouri. And I mean, that was really interesting to watch this matter-of-fact conversation between the two police officers with one guy saying, look, this is what it is. And he went on his way. They let him go. John Tantillo, just like the last time, this flew by. It's ridiculous. But listen, man, you made the show better. It's always good to tap into all of your knowledge and wisdom. Everyone, you go to @John Tantillo on X and throughout social media. And he's also, you also find him at themarketingdoctor.com. You find his work, on Newsmax and at newsmax.com. And his book, is People Buy Brands, Not Companies. John, you're the best and I love you and I'm grateful for your time.
Okay, and I like just to say something before we end.
Yes.
And that is, I'm so proud that the President of the United States mentioned you in a tweet, and Newsmax has an article about the shout-out that our President gave you, and it only goes to show what kind of a brand you are, Mr. McCormick, Mr. TJ, and I am so proud and so happy to be a friend of yours.
Oh, thank you. You're nice, and thank you for mentioning that because you know that I'm not gonna bring it up enough. So I'm grateful that you did that, buddy. And Andrea sends her love. So do the girls. So does my mom and dad. Everybody, John Tantillo will be back again very, very soon. This is Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick here on 77 WABC. It's at the top of the hour. We come back. We have more fun. Fred Rubino in the next hour, all the way to Lizzie Radabali and the 5 a.m. newscast. Stay right there, gang.
It's Another Side of Midnight, 77 WABC. This is Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormack. Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormack.
4:06 here on Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormack. 77 WABC, and the number is 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-WABC. Give a call about anything on your mind. Anything at all that you want to talk about. We've kind of cast a wide net this morning and yesterday morning. Everything from recovery, addiction. We talked about other addictions other than, normally we talk about the booze and the thing. Yesterday morning we spoke about gambling. We heard some real tough stories. So that's always something you can call to discuss. And by the way, if Keith from last week is there, you're leaving us all in suspense. We want to know how you are. There's been a lot of tweeting about you, Keith. All positive, all good wishes, and a lot of love out there, hoping that you're hanging in there. Starting off this show this morning, we were talking about loss. It wasn't exactly the most glorious opening of a show. It wasn't really, in the wake of John Tantillo's conference, it wasn't really our brand to open up with talking about tragedy and trauma and stuff. But this Texas story, 51 people dead, at least 14 or 15 teens. Part of that. Just so sad. And so we talked a little bit about, how you handle trauma, how you help friends and loved ones handle trauma and grief and all that stuff. And we had some really interesting calls to open up the show this morning. And Yeah, and then we talked the usual, the politics and everything. So, this is the final hour for the weekend. We'll be back next Saturday and Sunday with Another Side of Midnight. And, until we hand it off to Liz Radabali for the 5 a.m. newscast, we've got Fred Rubino calling in just a little bit. He's gonna, have a little bit of fun with him and some news headlines as we always do. And I was taking a look, a couple of things in the Post, on Saturday's New York Post. One thing was this, a space capsule carrying the ashes of more than 160 people was lost when it crashed into the Pacific Ocean after 2 orbits around the Earth. A German startup company, launched on June 23rd, this rocket containing these remains, 166 people whose ashes were sent into orbit, while the departed souls, and I'm reading this from the Post, while the departed souls had smooth sailing for 2 successful orbits, an anomaly occurred. I think you call that an accident, a mistake, shortly after re-entry. So I don't know what the point was here. So wait, so it said the capsule was launched successfully, powered the payloads nominally into orbit, stabilized. The onboard materials have not been, so I don't know. Did these people want their ashes? Was the plan to pop them out into space? Or just that they were orbiting and then they were going to be recovered? Or, I mean, if their wishes were to have their ashes like popped out into space, I mean, are you allowed to release anything into space? And if you are, but now those remains are like in the ocean, that's the exact polar, complete opposite of what your wishes were for your remains, outer space versus in the ocean. But part of me, I just don't care. And I'm not cursing. I don't give a. I just don't give a. I couldn't care. Do any of the family have exotic plans for their remains? Anybody doing anything, or anybody have any requests from family that either you think are profound and lovely, or you got to be kidding me? Or are you like me? Do you just not give a? Has anybody in your family said, because there are absolutists. My mother-in-law is, she says she wants to be incinerated. I'm one of them. I can't, 1-800-848-9222. What are your plans for your remains? What is your grand plan? Or have you been given instructions by someone that you really are not quite sure how the hell you're going to carry that? Has anybody given you a scenario and you go, yeah, no, sure. Of course, Ma, I'll do that for you. And then you go to your brother and you say, did you hear what Ma wants? Ma wants. That's in northern New Jersey, right? Ma wants? Mawa. 1-800-848-9222. Does that ring a bell? Exotic plans and what people want for their arrangements. Part of me wants to go over the top, and it's not like me, because all right. So I'm reading about the Pacific, the ashes. I care for the people. I feel bad that it didn't go that way, but I'm thinking also there's 160 people out there that were at some point said to these poor people, all right, listen, when I go, I want you to find a rocket. All right. And I want you to put my ashes. Or they advertise, I don't know where this German, the exploration company, TEC, a German startup where they advertised and said, so if you want to give us your loved ones' remains, we'll put them up in the rocket and we'll fly them around the world and they can get a nice final look. Nobody's getting a final look at anything. That's like when you take when you drive the casket past the person's longtime home. It was so nice, and we drove past George's house and you know, where he and Lois lived for 47 years. It was a final nice little viewing for George to see the house, and George didn't see in the house. If anything, it's just a pain in the neck for all the people in the procession with the blinkers on. I just hate death. I'm just like that. Are you like me? I just hate it. I'm a baby about death. I think that's the ultimate comment I could make here. I am not good with it. And if I'm really being honest, even though I'm supposed to live life on life's terms, and I'm getting better at it, I do not like and I'm not, I know that doesn't make me unique. I know. It's not like, wow, that's profound, TJ. You don't like the idea. I know. I'm not pretending that this is some sort of intellectual, you know, I'm saying I have a very immature look at, approach, fear of, I have a very immature thing about death and dying. I do worry about it. When I go down that rabbit hole, I start growing a tail. You understand? When I go down that rabbit hole, I am digging and I can get in that rut, baby, and not come out. I will start thinking about, I go to the extreme of, what if I'm not really dead? And that whole thing about, you know, being buried alive. I'll go there. Anybody like me have a truly irrational set of fears surrounding dying? Now, similarly, or rather, related to this, not similarly, related to this though, as much as I'm not a fan of these big, highfalutin, crazy, intricate plans for remains, when I think about the wake, and as an Irish Catholic, you know, it's all about the wake. If I'm not a closed casket, if I'm an open casket, part of me wants to be like propped up, and I'm not being funny. I'm not saying this because it's a radio show. I genuinely think that it would be awesome. It would be very funny. Yeah, and yes, creepy, but funny if I was to be like propped up, like holding a newspaper. Or not like laying there in the casket with your arms like crossed over, but rather maybe sort of like on my side, because I sleep on my side. What about being like in the fetal position? That would be me. TJ died like he died like he lived, in fear. That's him in the fetal position, curled up, deadly afraid of what he's doing right now. TJ plus death means curled up in a ball, afraid to talk about it. So I should probably be in the fetal position. That makes sense. 1-800-848-9222. Are you okay with death and dying? Are you all right with it? Are you totally at peace? I do know people that are completely at peace with it. People my age, 57 years old, don't even, and not that they don't think about it. I have friends who think about it and they're fine. They're very matter of fact. I'm not like, it's a shame to admit it, but I have a very immature fear of it. And yes, it's all about the family. It's all about the girls, right? I think about my daughters. I think about my wife. Anyway, 1-800-848-9222. How are you with that? And look, I think this actually can be a very funny, upbeat conversation. This really can be. I don't want to necessarily play a funeral dirge and start, talking. But I mean, that's why I ask at the top, do you have any requests from family or, for their last wishes that that when they go, you're going to have your hands full? Or have you been to a wake that was a little over the top? 1-800-848-9222. Here on Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick. Cyrus in Staten Island. Good morning, Cyrus. Welcome to Another Side of Midnight.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, as far as the mayor.
Yes.
I heard a Jewish woman call into Dominic Carter, and she said, "Oh, we're just going to have to all get together and vote for Mayor Adams." If the Jewish people don't get together as a bloc and vote for Curtis Sliwa and get off the Democrat Party, they're going to keep going back to what happened. If you don't, in your heart, learn how to really get together and talk to your people and say, no more going back to the Democratic Party that doesn't care about us. And now they've proven it, that they don't care about you. And if black people don't get together, lock arms with the Jewish people and say, we're getting off this plantation because we see what they do to us. Jews have found out real quick through the colleges and all how Democrats will go anywhere where the money is. If Bill Ackerman doesn't get together and say we will all put Curtis Sliwa in office and prove to both parties that we have the power, they no longer have the power.
Even just once, right, Cyrus?
Again.
Cyrus, even just once.
They have to make everyone understand. They've built a laser that can fight and shoot down missiles. But if you let them get into your system and destroy it, the Chinese are taking over with money, and the forces that be in the Muslim community are taking over by, look what they've done to London.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't this one time get together, just like a alien force that's fighting against Earth, we all have to get together and put a stop to it.
And Cyrus,
and
Cyrus,
show them, no, we're not going with you again.
And you know what, Cyrus? I mean, here's the thing too. It's like, the whole notion of never again is now. Never again is now. And if they don't, just the mere fact, if they can't just lay all their money down on this guy and his globalize the intifada, I mean, what more crystal clear? It came out of his mouth. He says it when he's pressed on it. This is the one thing. And here's the thing too, Cyrus. This guy, it kills me to say it. He's good at what he does because you have to be. To be a communist, to be a socialist Democrat, to be an anti-Semite, you've got to be good at what you do and what you say. And this piece of garbage, this Mamdani, this is the one thing. But here's the thing, Cyrus. This is what's fascinating. This is the one thing that he doesn't have an answer for because they've got him dead to rights on it. And because, who knows who he fears, right? You wonder, it's like, you wonder who gave him this mission. You wonder who put him on this mission. Who's he working
we know
for,
who put
right?
him on the mission.
Who? Who? I mean, really, who?
The forces that want to take down America.
Yeah.
And something that's not being said about the attack on Israel.
Yes.
All of the people in those kibbutzes, except for one that I've heard of, didn't have guns to fight back.
Mm.
If when someone kicks in your door and is going to kill every one of you, if you ain't got the power to fight back, you're going. You see what happened to people. Husbands had to stand there and watch their wives and children be.
Oh, I can't, buddy. It was savage.
They didn't have the power to fight back.
And you know what? Those savages that did that is the ideology. That's how Mamdani wakes up every morning. Mamdani would have been there. Mamdani would have absolutely been on the ground in one of those kibbutzes if he had the opportunity.
Right, and you can't reason with people like that.
Nope.
But there's one thing to fight back when that comes: a good old boy with a shotgun.
Yeah, no doubt.
Never let him
right,
don't let him take your vote,
or a badass Israeli.
Let him take your gun,
or a badass Israeli.
That's right. And Israelis know how to fight back.
Yep.
But you need a weapon.
Damn right.
And you got to get it in your brain that you are not going to put up with this.
And you know what? And in this case, Cyrus, they don't need a gun. They need a vote. In this case, all they got to do is show up and vote.
Right.
That's how you turn away this.
The revolution doesn't need a gun.
Exactly.
It needs your heart to say, every black and brown person, every Jew says, no more. Watch this. I'm going to punch you in the face. You're going to get that punch in the face because we're all standing together with Curtis Lewa, and ain't a damn thing you can do about it.
And by the way, you know what? I tell you what, Cyrus, again, I had the moment of clarity last week where it all came full into my mind when it comes to Curtis. Again, we have to get past the fact. And again, it's like, what did I say last week? I was like, that kind of like familiarity breeds contempt. It's not that there's contempt for Curtis. Not at all. I mean, yes, some people do have contempt. But there's people have contempt for, I know. No, but my point is that you almost get used to the guy. He's been around for so long that, that he becomes part of the landscape. But in this case, this guy,
putting it in your brain.
This guy since he's been in his 20s, what he's done for New York, what he has done for New York without payment, with what he's done out of a sense of mission and love for his fellow man. This guy
that right.
This guy is not like just the right choice. He's the only choice. And frankly, we should be thanking God that we've got a guy like Curtis Sliwa, who has been part of the heart and soul of this city. And by the way, unlike a lot of politicians, he knows every corner of every subway station. This guy has the DNA of New York City in his veins, not just Manhattan, not just, the swells, but every corner of every borough of this city. He knows it.
And unlike politicians, he can't be bought off. So Bill Ackerman, he can't be bought off. So back him and make sure you're going to save your company. You're going to save your hedge fund by saving New York.
Right.
Trump can't be bought off. Curtis can't be bought off.
Exactly. All right. Thanks, Cyrus. Let's get over to Diane in Brooklyn. Diane on number 2. Good morning, Diane.
Hey. Okay.
Yes.
Recently, I was walking. I live a couple blocks away from Brooklyn College, and I started talking to this young student, around 20, I think she was, a young girl who told me she was Jewish, by the way.
Okay.
And I told her how I had been denied use of their pool that I had a membership of because I said something positive about Israel, and I was turned ratted on by the student that heard me to the head of that department,
the athletic department.
The athletic activities department.
Yeah.
And he said that I said inappropriate things can no longer use their pool, which I paid for, by the way. And I eventually got my.
So what did the student say?
So anyway, we were talking about that, and I said, and she said, "Oh, I don't know that." I said, "Well, what did you expect anyway?" Because they had that pro-Hamas march, and she said, "Oh no, that wasn't pro-Hamas. It was just about
Israel policy."
Yeah. No, they didn't even say Israel. She didn't say Israel. She said it was against what's the word? When you not terrorism, but Anyway, that's not the main thing in this call.
Oh, genocide. It was an anti-genocide.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
Anti-genocide. Like who's doing the genocide? But that's besides what. And then I said, well, what about? I said, are you kidding me? You know, I bet you're probably even going to vote for Mamdani. And she said, oh, he's wonderful.
Oh God, this is a Jewish girl. This girl identified as Jewish.
A young secular Jewish girl who had no clue. And here
Clearly.
she's going to Brooklyn College. Isn't he wonderful? And she was serious about that. She said it was such fervoring.
Oh God!
I mean, unbelievable. I guess she thinks it's wonderful that he's giving away all this free stuff.
Yeah.
And I said to her, that's your tax. Nothing's free.
Yeah, no.
That's people's tax dollars, and that's not just coming from the rich, because the rich are running out of New York in droves.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, he's gonna be taxing the wealth. This is just a non-starter.
It's everybody. It's everybody, because the rich are leaving.
That's what I mean. They're going to be gone.
Are leaving.
All right.
But she ran away.
Of course she did. Oh, Diane, sorry. Of course she did. She ran away, Diane, because God forbid you asked one more question, she wouldn't have had an answer. All right. So listen, we've got Freddie Rubino ready to go. He's revving his engine. We're going to take a quick break. Let me actually just very quickly, let me take the break. And this way we come back. We talk to Fred. We got a couple of people on the line. We drive this baby home. And we hand off to Liz Radabali at 5 a.m. for the 5 a.m. news hour. This is Another Side of Midnight with me, TJ McCormick, here on 77 WABC, 1-800-848-9222. We shall be right back. Stay right there.
It's Another Side of Midnight, 77 WABC. It's Another Side of Midnight.
Political humorist TJ McCormick.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormick.
Good morning, all. It's Another Side of Midnight with me, TJ McCormick, here on 77 WABC. I'm grateful to Bill and Tony for the cool music. They have not been wrong yet. Every single thing they throw at me is really cool and fun. I dig it. And it is 4:35 here on a lovely Sunday morning, the 6th of July, and we are now going to our dear buddy Fred Rubino. Don't call me Freddie. Here is Fred Rubino with some fantastic laughs and a whole lot of love. God bless him. Except he's not here with me. He's on the phone. Fred.
Yes, I am on the phone, coming to you live and in person.
Live, in person, on the phone, not there, but real.
Exactly. I'm denying it, yet I'm taking credit for it.
There you go. That's the American way. Welcome. It's good to have you back, buddy, and better on the phone than not at all. And glad you're there. So tell me, so what you got? What are we talking about this morning?
Well, happy belated July 4th.
Yes.
It's always great to celebrate this country, and this year is the whole year we're celebrating the 250th, right?
Right. We're now in the 250th year. We are headed towards the big birthday. Yes.
So something happened to me this week. I posted on Facebook a very innocent celebration. It was a video of Liberace doing a dance.
Yeah.
And he was wearing all kinds of red, white, and blue star-spangled outfit. You know Liberace. Sure. Not personally. Do you know Liberace? I don't know.
No.
But
he would have loved me, though.
Oh, he would have loved you. So he was doing this dance, and I just posted. It was 40 seconds of him twirling a baton, and I just said, Happy Independence Day.
Yes.
Well, people went crazy, and I've gotten flooded with all kinds of messages from every side. This is what's wrong with social media. You're forced to interact with people you would have never interacted with.
Right.
It's got over 2 million views, this video right now,
Right.
just on Facebook, and I got first you get the Trump derangement people.
Oh yeah,
This isn't a good thing. There's nothing to celebrate. All the way to Trump's gay.
Oh my God! Wow! So that's a new one. So actually, now that you mentioned it, I know the video you're talking about. He's wearing shorts and knee socks, and he's twirling a baton. It was it's on a variety show. It's like from like a 70s or a 60s variety show.
Yes,
it's one of my favorite videos ever.
Up his heels.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh my God! This reminds me of when they called Trump a Nazi.
Yeah.
Like he's the worst Nazi ever,
Right.
He's the friend of Israel. He's the friend of the Jews. He's got Jewish family. This reminds Trump would be the worst gay guy. Have you ever seen him dance?
Yeah. And to the Village people, no less.
Let me tell you, you know how gay people are always claiming someone famous, like, oh, Lincoln was gay.
Right.
Oh, this guy was gay.
Yeah, little known fact.
Even saying,
little known fact. Yeah,
Yeah, they're even saying Trump's not gay.
Yeah.
We're not claiming him.
Yeah. Log cabin Republicans are lining up saying, trust me, he is not gay.
I can't believe how many people are twisted, and my message was always the same. Just enjoy this person being patriotic.
Yes.
That's it.
And gay. Just enjoy this gay person being very gay and very patriotic. That's one thing, Liberace actually was, from what I understand, I believe he was quite conservative.
Yes, he was.
I believe he and Sinatra, even the ones who used to be Democrats, they were very much, old school, conservative Democrats, the ones who came around eventually, like Reagan and Sinatra and stuff. But yeah, no, I believe Liberace was pretty much a Republican.
OG. He was the OG, original gay.
Yeah. Fred Rubino joining us here on Another Side of Midnight. It wouldn't be Sunday morning without Fred. And so what else is cooking there, my friend?
Oh, we got this story that was fascinating to me. A serial killer loose in Texas, okay? So last month, authorities discovered yet another man's body in Austin Lady Bird Lake, bringing the total count of a whopping 38 individuals recovered from the waters since 2022, in the last 2.5-3 years.
38?
38. But this is the best part. This is the headline.
Yeah.
It says, serial killer fears grip Texas community after dozens of bodies have been pulled from a lake. In parentheses, it says, it cannot be ignored. Who's ignoring it?
Right? Nobody's ignoring it. Well, I mean, maybe from whenever they started. What's the story though? So they found 38 in the, how big is this lake?
It better be deep too. I tell you can walk across that lake.
How do 38 people disappear from, I mean, the idea that there were 38 missing people for all these years, and you say this is what, over the course of 10 or 20 years? How many years?
No, since 2022.
Oh, that's right. You said 2022. So over 3 years, 38 people or more have been missing in some close proximity to this lake. And this is Austin. So this isn't out in the hinterlands. This is the capital.
It takes a lot to get the attention of Texas law enforcement.
Well, in this case, clearly.
37 bodies are pulled out. They're like, all right, there's nothing to see. 38? You know what?
Yeah.
Maybe we should look into this.
We've reached a critical mass now.
No, this is like the 99 bottles of beer on the wall. It's got to be homeless people. It's got to be like drug addicts, because there was no big outcry of people saying, hey, half my family's missing.
Yeah, yeah. 38. I mean, that's just that's a massive number. You're right. You're probably right. They probably were homeless. They were probably, like you said, had problems and probably hadn't been in touch with their family. Oh God, that's so sad. Oy vey, that's nasty. Ew. Yes. Lady Bird Lake. So this is, I guess, named after Lady Bird Johnson, I guess?
Yeah. Those Johnsons, I tell you, Kennedy gets shot under the Johnson name, and now Lady Bird Johnson's piling up bodies, 38 bodies. You see, when you ask some woman what's her body count, it's not supposed to be how many bodies were dragged out of her lake.
Right. No, it's supposed to be, yeah. Oh my God. It's a whole
crazy.
Yeah.
But that's Texas, that's nothing riles people in Texas, it seems. And here's the thing, there's people this 4th of July who went to the lake.
Yeah, they're out there. They're out there they're out there water skiing and inner tubing. Oh God. This is Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick. We're joined by Fred Rubino as always. Just quickly on the line, we've got Frank in Canada. Frank, we were talking earlier, Fred, about people's plans in their mortality, and and we kind of opened it up. Frank, what do you have for us about the arrangements?
Yeah, hi. Just like to say it's an honor talking to you. And I hope you still continue doing for a good while.
Well, thank you.
My pleasure. Well, I just want to say I really miss my mother. She died during 24 Christmas holidays.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Colon cancer, yeah.
Oh, boy. Very sorry.
And, her wish was cremation. I didn't agree with that at the beginning when I found out. But when she passed away, I swear I did what she asked. It was a simple funeral, and may God bless her. And I was very close to her. And basically, that's it for me.
And in the end, yes. Oh, yes, for you. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, well, for me, Mr. TJ, it's I wasn't for cremation, but I think I'm going more. And I think most of the people, it's cremation.
A lot of people do. My wife's from the UK. It seems everybody in the UK gets cremated. It seems like, generally speaking. And, but you say at first you were like, no, but you no pun intended, you warmed up to it. Shut up, Freddie. Shut up. You warmed up to it.
I'm trying to stop.
Yes, I know.
I think my mother influenced me on going that way. So that's it.
That's fascinating.
Thank you. If I just may add a point, just on the mayoral race.
Sure.
I don't. Adams, I really didn't like him at the beginning. I don't say he's the best, but my predictions, he's going to be winning again.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And I think that Trump gets along with him.
And that's only going to serve him well. I think. Yeah, you're right.
Trump.
Yeah. The fact that Trump and Adams are new allies is only going to help Adams and probably, yeah. Frank, thank you so much for calling. It was great to talk to you for the first time. Thank you very much. All right, Fred, hang in there 1 second. We got to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to we got a couple of people on the phone, including Sean in Pearl River, who I think is perfect to talk to a couple of guys like you and me. So, Freddie, stay right there. Everyone, it's Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick here on 77 WABC. Stay right there.
It's Another Side of Midnight, 77 WABC. It's Another Side of Midnight.
Political humorist TJ McCormick.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormick.
Just a few minutes remaining this weekend here on Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick. Liz Radabali ready to go for the 5 a.m. news hour. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time to a couple of people on the line that I don't think we're going to get to, but I do apologize. You can find me at TJ McCormick on Twitter and at TJ _ McCormack on whatchamacallit, on Truth Social, where President Trump said my name yesterday, which was really lovely of him. But yeah, so Truth Social, and at on Twitter, you can find me at TJ McCormick. So if we don't get to you, please go find me over there on Twitter and post whatever it is that you wanted to express. Please, please, please. Fred Rubino, buddy, what's another chunk of the newspaper that you got for me?
Well, I tell you what, there was a big story about this kid on a Disney cruise.
Oh, yes,
fell off the 4th deck into the water.
Like a 4 or 5 year old little girl. Yeah. Fell off the 4th deck. Yep.
Oh, my goodness. This is the classic case of what happens when the father watches the kids. This is it. Because the father jumped in. The father jumped overboard right after she went under, and he grabbed her, and they're okay. He rescued her.
Yeah, and he was treading water for like 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well, he had no choice, you know. Right. Your wife would kill you when you get back.
Forget the kid drowning. Your wife would kill you.
Oh, you'll never have sex again. That's what he was up against. This is what happens when father watches the kids. The wife probably went to get like a drink or go to the bathroom 5 minutes. Right. Watch the kid. Of course. What could happen? I'm on a boat.
Yep.
And it's like when the kid falls in the gorilla cage at the zoo.
Yeah.
You know daddy was watching.
Yes. No doubt. And hey, listen, Fred, we got somebody here. We got Sean in Pearl River. Sean, good morning. Welcome to Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick. It's you, me, and Fred Rubino. What's on your mind?
Oh, hi. I'm a big fan of you guys. I want to be a comedian, and I noticed you guys, you have one ingredient that comedians have to have. You are very observant. I want to be a comedian. I'm very observant, too. I notice the American people like to say they believe in karma, so they're becoming Buddhists. They're third world. I hear people talking about, we're going to be cremated. We're going to cremate everybody. Well, that's Hindu. So people becoming third world. And if you're ever outside, a lot of American people now use Spanish words. And that's third world. They're from the third world. So we're becoming third worlders without even knowing it. Oh, I believe in karma. Oh, I'm going to be cremated. Hey, hasta la vista. So that's it. People have become the third world. They don't even realize it. Freddie, you're very funny. You're a conservative comedian, which is awesome. I think it's great. Just listen, man, just go out there and let them have it because you're funny as anything. And same thing with you, TJ. You're unbelievable. TJ, did you ever meet PJ O'Rourke? I want to be a comedian. I want to be a real comedian. But people, we become a third world. We believe in karma.
But I tell you, Freddie, we become a third world. People are jumping off cruise ships and trying to. I don't understand. Sean, thank you for calling. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sean. Did I ever meet PJ O'Rourke?
You know something? Speaking of cremated, the first joke I ever wrote. Was about cremation. When I was a kid, we had milkmen.
Yeah.
Remember the milkman?
Sure.
Are you too young?
No, I remember milkman.
So the milkman became like a friend of the family. You know, you knew the milkman. He was your milkman for years. Right. So one day I came home, I was like 9, and my mother is in the kitchen with her friends, and they're crying. And I'm like, what happened? She goes, Bill, the milkman, he had a heart attack on his route, and he's dead. He died. I was like, oh, my goodness. She goes, yeah, we're trying to find out when the service is, when his wake is. I go, he's a milkman. He probably got cremated. And my mother hit me with a backhand.
That's great.
That could have won Wimbledon.
That's a great joke. Oh, that would have won. That's a great joke. How old were you?
I thought it was. That was the first time I bombed.
That was, no. You know what? I don't buy that. I think your mom probably thought it was actually really good.
My father did. He got home. My father goes, do you know what he did? He embarrassed me. And my father goes, oh, that was a good one.
You know, I like that. Your dad came home and you tried it out on the new audience.
Yeah. typical.
Yeah.
That's what this guy should know.
Yeah.
You know, that guy
Your mom
was just
smacked
on.
you. Your mom smacked you, and you said, "All right, I got to rework that." Okay.
I gotta do that over.
I gotta rework that line. I gotta say, I know he's probably, yeah. And then you say your dad came home and say, "Hey, Dad, the milkman died." Yeah, he's probably, something like that. So what else is cooking there, Fred?
Well, this thing with the kid on the cruise.
Yeah.
This is, I would have to say, every time my father used to babysit us, and it was rare because back in that day, your father didn't babysit. My father always took us to the track. That was his babysitting tool.
Oh, funny.
You know, and that's how Italian kids grew up, at the track. If I had a fever and my mother had to go somewhere, boom, we were at the track. My father thought the higher the fever, the luckier I would be.
Oh, that's so. That's funny. What track did he take you to? Where would you guys go? Aqueduct?
It would always be Aqueduct because we could get there by train.
Oh, I love it. That's great.
Because he had a few beers.
It's fun. You know what's interesting too? Back in the day here in New York, remember last week we were talking about like how New York used to be just that much more fun and that much more open. And, back in the day, the track, they would sell out during the day. Like for the daytime, they would be busy. Aqueduct and Yonkers at night, they would be packed with guys, men and women playing the ponies.
You had to get there early.
Yes.
And I was the only kid in 5th grade that couldn't add 12 plus 12. But I could tell you how much a 12-to-1 odds pay on a $12 bet. I can tell you that.
That's Fred Rubino. It's me, TJ McCormick, here on 77 WABC. It's another side of midnight. Got a few minutes remaining, Mike, fellas, I'm sorry, we're just not gonna be able to get over to you this morning. I'm sorry. But like I said, please find me over on Twitter at TJ McCormick, on Twitter, just in case, and, Harvey as well. So Fred, what else is happening there? I'm sorry, I don't have the newspapers in front of me.
Yeah. Well, listen, all I got to say is that, this poor guy, even though he went over the rail, even though he dove 40 foot into the water and saved his kid, doesn't matter. This will be a fight in his family forever.
Because it happened on his watch.
It happened. Listen, it's not that you dove in. It's that this kid fell overboard on your watch. My wife brings up stuff that didn't even happen yet. Imagine this guy's wife 40 years from now. Yeah, what about when the kid fell overboard?
Right.
I tell you what.
Yeah.
If I was him, I'd move to Texas near that Lady Bird Lake.
Yeah. You know what, man? You know what's funny is that the best he's going to be able to do is, but she didn't die. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you know that again, like what do they say? They say if you're explaining, you're losing.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. But, you're married.
Yeah.
You know your wife will bring up stuff about that. I'm sure she had something on you that when you watched the kids, you had an epic fail. What was your biggest epic fail?
One of them, we had one place we lived in had a small in-ground pool. And yes, one of the kids fell in the pool. Yeah. So a much smaller version of falling off but yes, and that one, like, she definitely had a minor heart attack, my wife, when she heard, cause I didn't want the girls to tell her. And like, as soon as she came in the door, I said, "Mommy, you know what happened? Trixie." Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same thing when my father won at the track. Do not tell your mother we won at the track.
Right. But how do you know?
Well, gambling, the lying bone is connected to the gambling bone. So, you learned a lot. You learned a lot at the track. Those kids there should be field trips from school to the track.
Yeah.
And maybe Lady Bird Lake too. Just so
Well, yeah.
Keep the kids in order.
See, you kill your point to say you don't want to end up in the lake. Freddie Rubino, we got to jump, buddy. It's the end of the show, and hopefully we'll see you in person next Sunday morning.
I will be in next Sunday in studio.
Very, very good. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and have a great week there, Fred. Thank you, buddy.
It's Another Side of Midnight. 77 WABC. 77 WABC invites you to a family fun day and softball showdown on July 20th with net proceeds benefiting Shriners Children's. John Sterling will call the game as the FDNY takes on the NYPD with special guests Dwight Gooden, Art Shamsky, 77 WABC hosts including Sid Rosenberg, Anthony Cumia, Lionel, Dominic Carter, and many more. For more info and to buy tickets, go to ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. That's ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org.